Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining our session today and welcome to my office. I hope that you're comfy from wherever you're tuning in from. My name is Cora McDonald, and today I'm going to be presenting on behalf of an incredible group of individuals, Heidi Walter, Atharina David, and Mandy Faulkner, about an aftercare support program we're developing with young people from the ground up as they transition from a housing program in Ottawa. So in today's presentation, we're going to start by giving some background about the Housing First for Youth demonstration project and the testing site in Ottawa, where the aftercare model is taking place. We'll also provide some context about what aftercare is and why it's an essential feature of any Housing First for Youth program. In the next section, we'll introduce the model underway in Ottawa and describe the knowledge to action approach that's informing and guiding all stages of the work, from inception to implementation and evaluation. We'll conclude with some examples of experience, successes, and challenges to date. So a little bit about us and some background on the project. The Making the Shift Youth Homelessness Demonstration Project, or MTS DEMS, is using demonstration projects to evaluate the impact of strategies for addressing youth homelessness by preventing it or helping young people to exit homelessness quickly if it occurs. One of the interventions currently being tested is the Housing First for Youth model. Housing First for Youth is a rights-based approach to addressing youth homelessness. It is also an adaptation of the highly successful Pathways to Housing First model. It's designed to provide developmentally appropriate supports, including housing, to help young people exit homelessness and support their healthy transitions to adulthood. There are currently 3 sites in Ontario where the model is being tested, one in Hamilton, one in Ottawa, and one in Toronto. Each site is focused on a different and particular group of young people. In this presentation, we're going to be focusing on the Ottawa site where the aftercare work is happening. So the Ottawa site first launched in 2018 and is focused on youth between the ages of 17 and 24 who were currently or at imminent risk of becoming homeless at entry into the project and assessed as requiring moderate care supports. The program is being delivered in partnership with 3 community agencies: Youth Services Bureau, who's the lead agency, John Howard Society, and CMHA. Between February 2018 and November 2019, a total of 86 young people were enrolled in the project. Because the study is using a randomized control trial research design, about half of the 86 young people were randomized to receive Housing First for Youth supports, including a rent subsidy and intensive case management services, while the other half were randomized to a group that received no new intervention, but could continue to access available supports in the community. Working alongside the young people is a team of case managers and the program administrator responsible for delivering supports to young people in the Housing First for Youth group, including finding housing, goal setting, and connections to services and for their needs. As well, there's a team of research assistants based in Ottawa who are responsible for data collection. So meeting with young people from the first point of entry when they entered the study, and then every 3 to 6 months until they left the program. In June 2021, the program in Ottawa officially closed its doors. For the contributors to this presentation, who have had the privilege of working alongside the young people and the community partners across the years that the project was operating, the end of the program was bittersweet. On one hand, we are ecstatic for the final analyses and reporting to be released, and so that we can tell the story of the impact that the model had in Ottawa and for these young people. On the other hand, we were confronted with the question of what happens to young people next. What happens when services end? Despite best efforts upon transitions from services, we know from research and experience that many young people require additional supports after leaving a housing program. For young people who have experienced homelessness, they can face particular challenges. For example, some young people, as they exit a Housing First program, may experience a steep drop from receiving supports to being on their own. In most cases, when Housing First for Youth supports end, contact with case manager ceases. Well, some young people move on and do great, others realize that they weren't quite ready for supports to end. Another challenge that young people may face is lacking protection of support from family and natural supports. So we know that most young people rely on family for support. I know myself as a 30-year-old, almost 30-year-old, I rely on my parents quite a bit. Support from families can come in the form of being able to go live with your parents if crises occur, receiving financial supports if hardships occur, or just having a support system to rely on when life gets tough. Unfortunately, some young people, particularly those who have experienced homelessness, don't have the same protections and supports as their peers. And without these supports, they are vulnerable to setbacks, including returns to homelessness. Finally, unexpected challenges. Life can be unpredictable, changing economic and social realities, unsafe living conditions, or just challenging circumstances can create situations that limit the opportunities that young people need to succeed and thrive. In sum, every day that young people's needs go unmet after they transition from services represent missed opportunities to support their healthy development and journey to independence and self-sufficiency. So how can programs support successful transitions from services? Aftercare support models are designed to try and address potential adverse outcomes and challenges that individuals might experience as they transition from services. Although most of the research on young people's transitions from services has focused on negative outcomes and challenges, there have been a few studies which have consulted young people directly about which services would help them most after they leave a program. We also did this with young people as they exited the Housing First for Youth program. What we heard from those consultations and what was found in the research is that aftercare was a desired service feature. So what is aftercare? Aftercare is a type of post-program support for individuals transitioning from services. It's focused on assessing individuals' needs before they leave a program, and then continuing to do so after they leave. Supports include continued social and health support options. It's also a recommended feature of most wraparound service interventions, including health interventions, social and behavioral. So how does aftercare align with the Housing First for Youth approach? Assessing young people's ongoing needs and then connecting them with available community supports can ultimately help sustain positive impacts achieved during a program. Within the context of Housing First for Youth, aftercare supports can provide young people with a safety net they can rely on after leaving a program, provide opportunities for them to practice the life skills they learned in the program, and also offer care planning that's tailored to their individual needs versus their legal age. When young people entered the study, they were between the ages of 18 and 24. 3.5 years later, many of them are approaching 27 or 28. And if they are accessing services in the community, are most definitely going through adult channels. Allowing young people to stay connected to a program can enable them to receive care that's designed to meet them where they're at and support their healthy development. Aftercare services are not as intense as housing first services. Ultimately, the supports are intended to help young people respond to and navigate crises and challenges once they've moved on from a program. So, as we were having conversations about what happens next for young people, and discussions came about offering aftercare supports and what that might look like. Although aftercare support models are sound and logical in theory, unfortunately, there's very limited empirical evidence about the types of service components that should be included in aftercare models, the best practices for delivering care, and the types of supports that should be offered. Rather than waiting for the research to come or designing a whole new study, we decided why not just build a program with young people in real time as they transition from services in Ottawa. The Aftercare Support and program in Ottawa is supporting 20 young people between the ages of 20 and 27 who are transitioning from housing first services. Some key elements of the program include a support coach who's working with young people to determine their needs and then providing supports during their transition period from services. It also includes continued research, including interviews and surveys completed by research assistants. We didn't have a lot of time to design the program as it was happening while young people were already starting to transition from services. We opted to use a prototyping strategy so that we could create a model and then refine it as we went. The first prototype of the model included supports for young people around systems navigation, housing support and eviction, short-term financial assistance, and helping young people reconnect with families. Ultimately, however, our particular interest was working with young people across the project to get feedback on what they needed, what was working, and what wasn't working. This is why we are taking a knowledge to action approach to guide both the evaluation and design of the program. A knowledge to action approach allows for real-time responses, so continuously collecting feedback on how a program's going, and then applying the feedback and changes in real time to the research design, to resources and supports. This cycle is repeated throughout the development of the program. For us, the knowledge to action approach was also appropriate because of the two arms of teams that were supporting it, researchers and practice. This allowed for a collaborative space to come together and design a program from day one. Although research and practice collaboration is common, it's not always that you have the opportunity to develop a model or design or project right from the get-go. Often it's convergence of different ideas and approaches. Early learnings. So there's been many challenges and successes throughout this project and via using the prototype and evaluation design. For challenges, not surprisingly, having to rapidly launch, implement, and design a program was quite challenging. So it required both teams coming together to do things very quickly, and ultimately meant that we had to be okay that things were being built as we went. Administrative barriers, particularly when you have research and practice at the table, there are different administrative pieces that need to be taken care of. In this project, for example, research had to go through an ethics process to do this additional study. On the practice side, there's all kinds of pieces with COVID and other policies for delivering care. Well, these are expected and anticipated in each of our own respective work. It can be difficult trying to get them done when we're working together. Probably the biggest challenge, however, was distinguishing aftercare from Housing First for young people, for the young people involved. There's a lot of overlap between the supports. However, unlike Housing First for Youth, which offered a rent subsidy, Aftercare cannot do so. Because the support coach and the research assistants for the aftercare component are the same as the Housing First for Youth, we had to take extra care to really explain the differences to young people, but how this program would be different than their experience in Housing First for Youth. Successes. Ultimately, the collaborative research practice and youth trifecta is one of the biggest successes of the project so far. As mentioned, it's rare to have the opportunity to create something from the get-go all together. And also it can be difficult to make time and space to ensure that you're meeting regularly to do each piece. From the get-go, the team committed to taking time to do these pieces and doing them right. And the learnings have been incredibly fruitful from both sides. Real-time responses. A pain with research is that it can take a long time, as well with preparing a program. Although there are challenges with rapid launch, being able to respond to young people immediately as things were happening was very significant and a great success in the project. Also, the ability to do that continuously has seen a number of awesome successes for young people who are being supported. And finally, diverse supports. Another benefit or success of starting with almost a blank page of what types of supports are going to be offered is that you get to offer many different supports. So through the program, we've seen young people be incredibly impacted by just being able to have coffee with somebody, have a phone call with somebody, going to do groceries, as well as like being able to get support with more significant issues such as facing eviction or returns to homelessness. So this has been a really great success, getting to offer and see so many diverse supports. To conclude, young people so far in the program, it's been operating since about July, have been gaining information about resource and support options. I've been meeting with the support worker regularly to go over their goals and what they want from the program. We've seen young people be really impacted and pleased with being able to call the support worker, having somebody they can trust. We've also seen improved programming and supports and been able to provide young people with honorarium and participant and money for participation. Thank you so much for your time, and I look forward to the Q&A.